G'day YouTube, and thanks for joining me for another ride, for another daily commute, although today's is a little bit later than usual. Red bike, red gloves. Well, that's how I'm working at it anyway. Well, tonight, what are we going to talk about? Well, I say tonight, doesn't look like it, but it kind of is. As you can see, I have the middle bike. I have old Mama Bear going out for a ride tonight, and it's funny that I say that because let's use that analogy. Probably put it in the title somewhere of the video. Goldilocks. Is the VFR1200F the perfect Goldilocks bike? And we shall discuss that as we ride off tonight. Now, why do I say that? Well, what's the old story with Goldilocks? Yeah, Goldilocks and the three bears, or whatever it is. Mama Bear, Baby Bear, and Papa Bear, yeah? Well, there's Baby Bear, there's Mama Bear, and there's Papa Bear. Small, middle, big, sports tourer. So what is always Goldilocks likes? She likes the soup that's not too hot, not too cold. She likes the bed that's not too hard, not too soft. Is the VFR1200F the perfect sports tourer? Let's go. Well, I've got many more videos to make on the VFR1200, as I do my other two bikes and eventually my two cars. But this is my Goldilocks bike. So let's now discuss why that is the case. First and foremost, this is a sports tourer. The VFR is a sporty, oh dear, automatic. The VFR1200 is a sporty sports tourer. So it's sports tourer with a capital sports, as opposed to something like perhaps a FJR, which is a sports tourer, capital tourer. So two different completely bikes doing or trying to do the same thing, but of course from different ends of the spectrum. As you can obviously tell, I prefer mine on the sportier side. But then, as I say, is this the perfect Goldilocks bike? You can tell by my collection of bikes, I live the sports tourer and tourer life as I rip into it in a very sporty way. So yes, as far as a Goldilocks bike is concerned, I want something that is in between sports and tourer. This bike is definitely a tourer. It definitely has the luggage and the ability to carry two people with gear, or one person with quite a substantial amount of gear. That can be increased dramatically if you decide to go from a 31 litre top box, which I have, and obtain a 45 litre top box. That will increase your luggage from 90 litres in hard removable cases to obviously 105 litres. Although I do believe the 45 litre top box detracts. I have been chasing one, but no, at this stage, unless I can find one that's reasonably priced, very unlikely to be in the seal silver, which is the colour that I need to match my two panniers. There was another silver, I think there's another two silvers, or even a grey. Don't quote me, long story short, my silver is seal silver. There's definitely other varieties out there. So if I can't find one that matches, I will then need to find a cheaper one that I would need to get painted, and unfortunately I haven't found a incredibly cheap 45 litre top box to do that. So that for now is out. And again, I have the three bikes, so it's not a priority. If I want to go heavy touring, then I just take my Goldwing. But back to the argument of, is this the Goldilocks bike? yes, 105 litres with the 31 litre top box is still sufficient. And then if you're doing 1 up, not 2 up, I have the ability to put on a 35 litre or even up to a 60 litre SW Motec dry bag onto my back seat. So with 60 litres, that now takes me to 150 litres of storage, which is more than sufficient for any reasonable getaway. So tick there for the touring. Sports, well, touring is more than just the ability to carry gear. You're also going to require the ability to do it in comfort, which is where there is not, I wouldn't say it's an Achilles heel, but it depends on who you are. Some people will argue that this is probably not the most comfortable bike to go touring on. Well, I would argue that point. Some people say you're bent over too much. Some people will say your legs are too cramped. Well, we can go down a whole different post and a whole different video in regards to that one. Suffice to say, unless you're 65 years old and arthritic, it's not as aggressive as people say it is, although it is one of the, if not the sportiest sports tourers out there. But if you can ride a 1000cc sports bike, which for me in my case is an R1, a 2013 R1, this thing feels like an absolute couch if you ride this one day after riding an R1. And I don't particularly find my R1 overly aggressive and uncomfortable. Yes, it's a sports bike. Yes, it has that geometry, but it's not a bad geometry, so I don't mind it. But like I said, in context to that, if I then hop on my VFR, it's like, holy shit. I mean, it's not an upright sports tourer. You are leant over. Yes, your legs are tucked up. Never, never, never confuse this with a 1400 Kawasaki tourer. Never confuse this with an FJR. Never confuse this with, I suppose, the BMWs. I don't know, is it the 1200s or the 1600s? K1600 GT for argument's sake. Or is it K1300 even? K1300 something? S? I don't know. But they make some form of sports tours as well. But there again, some of them are a little bit more upright. Some of them are extremely upright. I mean, your legs are quite bent and your body is definitely upright with the handlebars coming up quite some way. By the way, these are fitted with the riser bars, and I've actually, wait for this one, wait for this, I've even been thinking about removing my riser bars and putting on a set of OEMs. When I bought this, it came with the OER with the riser bars fitted. I thought it was somewhat aggressive when I first bought it because I didn't know any better, and this was technically, although I did post that my R1 is my first leader bike, this was definitely my first 1000cc bike, well, 1000cc plus. So I thought this was fairly aggressive when I bought it. After a while, of course, that I did come to terms with the geometry of the bike, and then once I bought the R1, once I actually started riding an actual leader bike, I suddenly then realised, holy shit, no. This is a very comfortable bike. So yes, unless there is something truly physically rooted about you, and yes, this is also, I'm not going to say anything derogatory, this is an older person's bike, generally speaking, the VFR range. But if you are in good shape, and if you are 50 plus, maybe even 60 plus, fit and healthy, yes, you can ride it, and you can ride it comfortably. And from what I can see on the forums, on the internet forums, it is done. I'm still in pretty good shape. I'm still riding actual 1000cc bikes, so no, I do not find this bike uncomfortable. And I have done, I would say, 12-hour plus days on this bike. Not necessarily all in the saddle, but I've been out from sun up to sundown and past sundown on this bike, and still come home feeling Okay, I wouldn't probably do that on a repeated basis day in, day out. I would probably cut it a lot shorter, but at least for one full day's ride, yes. Wow, I've done some serious time and distance in one day's ride. So you can carry gear on this and you can do it in comfort, so long as, you know, you're in good shape. Because no, this is definitely a sporty sports tourer. Which now brings us into the sports part. Well, never ever, and I'll just use the Honda analogy in this case, but you can do this for any other brand. Never ever compare a CBR to a VFR. Alright, they're two specific bikes, and they're two specific bikes for a very clear and definitive reason. And that's without even going into things such as like CBR 600, because then of course then you're playing the whole 600 versus 1000cc argument, but we won't go there. Suffice to say, a 265 kilogram sports tourer is not a 200 kilogram 1000cc fully fed sports bike. That sees track duty. You can take this on the track, and I've seen guys take it on the track. It does go onto the track, but you're not going to be setting any lap records, but you will definitely have fun. We're not going to go today into the whole DCT argument versus manual argument. That's kind of mute. That's not the purpose of this video. Although, spoiler alert, I am a huge DCT fan, having the DCT also on my Goldwing. But as far as a sports bike is concerned, 170 horsepower would be a lot on a 200 kilo litre bike. It's obviously not quite the same on a 260 kilogram sports tourer, but 170 horsepower is still rather brisk. No, this will not be a 300 kilometre an hour bike like a litre bike would do. Yes, it will keep up with litre bikes at least for a certain period of time, and I certainly have had no problems keeping up with litre bikes on any group rides that I've gone on. They have not gotten away from me. Obviously, I'm not the world's greatest rider, so I can't necessarily state that in the twisties I was getting outdone because of the bike. I was probably just getting outdone because of me, full stop. There's definitely a lot better riders out there than me. But the point is, for an average rider on a sports bike, and I've definitely counted those, and me as an average rider on a sports tourer, this is more than capable of keeping up in that scenario. Maybe, just maybe, you'll start to disappear in the twisties a little bit if you have two more capable riders comparing their abilities. I could have probably gone through there, but it's too late now. But if you are a... oh, I can go through here though. If you are a 7/10, 8/10 rider, you will probably get all that you need out of a VFR1200 in regards to sports. If you are getting your knee down and scraping sliders every weekend on your favourite twisties, or doing track days once a month on your fully fed, got no headlights, all stick it up, got semi-slicks on a track bike that you tow to the track every weekend, no, this is not going to get you where you need to go giggle wise. However, if you want to do some long distances and you are a sports bike rider and you don't want to get a traditional sports tourer, yes, you could do a whole lot worse than a VFR1200. What is this clown doing? What I'm essentially saying, and what I mean by that is, this is not a replacement for a sports bike, but it is certainly a good addition to your inventory if you are a more sports orientated rider. Again, I'm not going to start talking about adventure bikes, touring bikes. I'm not going to talk about uprights, cruisers, V-twins, Harleys, nothing. All right, that's completely different. Ducati multi-stradas, that's actually what a sports tourer is these days. No. If you love the sports bike scene, if sports bikes are really your thing, but you want to go away for a 3 to 5 day trip, or you want to do some serious kilometers in one day without having to stop every bloody 5 minutes to fill up the petrol tank and stretch your legs, this does a magical job of trying to impersonate a sports bike. It's like that fat cunt who's actually quite fit, and by that what I mean is, I'm, without going to the gym, I'm in my ex-army days, I'm extremely fit when I'm about 85 kilos. When I'm 92 to 94 kilos, I'm a little bit on the fluffy side, but I still fucking move a lot fucking quicker than you'd probably give me credit for, but it's by looking at me. Even as I approach 100 kilos, so long as I've done a little bit of training to sort of keep the blood flowing, you probably go, oh, that dude's not going to fucking get up and boogie, and then next thing you know, I'm fucking keeping up with you on a 5k run with a lot less fucking stress than you probably gave me fucking credit for. That is this bike. She's a little bit overweight, she's a little bit on the heavy side, probably could do a little bit more fucking cardio and a little bit less fucking weights, but it does an impeccable job of impersonating a CBR 1000. Again, unless you're a knee dragger, in which case no. But guys do quite literally drag knees on this bike. It can get over. I personally haven't done it, but I have certainly seen people who have, and that's what gave me some decent amount of confidence to buy this bike, because I did technically buy this more so as a gateway drug to buying a sports bike, but I was a little bit too scared to invest wholly and solely into a dedicated sports bike. So I thought my introduction and break-in to a sports bike would be a sports tourer, and yes, not disappointed at all. But as the video indicates, is this then the Goldilocks crack whore? Probably. Should be going up the road there to the knock shop. That'd be a hooker. So yeah, cut a long story short, as far as the Goldilocks bike goes, one that's perfectly suited to the both parts of its description, sitting in between a sports bike and a tourer bike, yes, this is definitely a Goldilocks bike. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I argue, although I'll give you a little bit of a fucking quick heads up, although it does lack apparently a dedicated top box, and that is the definition of touring, panniers than a top box, but I will give you a quick heads up. Kawasaki ZX 10 SX, is it SX or SE? I can't remember. And of course H2 SX SE. What do you think? Okay, sorry about that, back again. Just had to finish off the video before I was really interrupted by the goings on over there. So yeah, is there anything modern comparable to replace this bike? Yes, there's the Kawasaki SX, the 1000 and the H2. There's the Suzuki 1000, I think SX off the top of my head, can't remember. I think that's roughly what it is. And maybe even to a certain degree, I think there's a Panigale version. I think it might be the Ducati Super Sports, is it? So that's the sports tourer version, which I think does come with bags. But again, as I said, this is the most important part. This is a sports tourer. As you look at it from the rear, a A sports tourer must have 2 panniers and a top box. That's your storage. That's the whole purpose of it being a touring bike. So even if it is a sports bike, if you take off the top there, that doesn't really matter. You can always buy some soft bags, for argument's sake, to put on a sports bike. A sports tourer must have all 3. Okay, so in that regards, no. If you take away that 30 or possibly up to 45 litres storage, you're missing out on a lot of cargo carrying capacity if you were to buy a modern equivalent. So until they release a bike as such, no, because that, for me, that is just as important as that. Okay, no point having a super powered 250 horsepower engine there if you can only carry 40 litres on the back. That's not a sports tourer. That's an overnighter. Touring is not really going to happen. So Goldilocks bike, yes, absolutely. This is a sports bike with a touring arse end. All you need to do is take this off and you've suddenly got a very, very fun bike to ride out on a day's ride. Once you've reached your touring destination and you leave those in the motel room, you will have a lot of fun at that time during the day during your sightseeing and touring. So Goldilocks bike, I say yes. That's my opinion, but I've owned this and ridden it for a year, so feel free to believe me, feel not to, that's up to you. But that is definitely my take on it. And do not let the DCT fool you. That is essentially a quick shifter. It's not a punsy automatic bike. Instead of having a auto blipper up and down, you have an auto blipper up and down on your left hand instead of your left foot. If you want to put an auto blipper and quick shifter on your sports bike, then don't turn around and go, oh, but it's just an automatic. It's not. Okay, you can still have an extreme amount of sports fun with a DCT VFR1200. Alright, well that'll do for now, guys. I think that's comprehensive enough, at least in regards to the title of this video. Is this a Goldilocks bike? As I've said now numerous times, the answer is yes. So do not hesitate to buy this if you want to go a long way comfortably and have fun while you're doing it. It is a ripper. Alright guys, well, like, comment and subscribe. Feel free to comment and join the discussion with other people who I'm hoping to drag into my channel and get some cross communication going between a large and varied riding community, hopefully in the future. Thanks very much. Love to see you in the future, and come and join me for a ride in the next video. Cheers again. Big Zig signing out.